Hello, welcome to Church Searcher. My name is Chris and today we're in the village of Kirk Hammerton in North Yorkshire at the Church of St John the Baptist. Now there's a bit of a clue in the place name here. Kirke is the old Norse word for church, and this ancient church dates all the way back to the Saxon period. The tower there is from 950 AD. The cells to the right, chancel and the nave, even earlier than that, and it's said to be one of the most complete Saxon churches in Yorkshire. So we're going to be exploring the outside and the inside, looking for traces of the Saxon church, but also examining the spectacular Victorian pre-Raphaelite murals inside. So come with me as we explore St John the Baptist Church here in Kirk Hammerton. I'll see you after the map. So the church here sits on this mound right in the middle of the village, and it's actually mentioned in the Domesday Book, land belonging to Osborne de Arqueth. It mentions that in Hammerton, land belonging to Thorkill, Gamal and Haldor, is a priest and a church and a mill and a fishery. So we know this church survived the harrying of the north that the Normans undertook, and you can see why. It's a monumental structure, huge blocks of stone at a time when a lot of building would have been just wood. Now the theory is a lot of these monumental blocks of stone are actually from the Roman settlement of EBORACUM, now known as York, which is about 9 miles east of here. And Kirk Hammerton actually sits on an old Roman road called Rudgate, and we're actually not far from the River Foss here as well. So perhaps they either transported these huge blocks of stone down Rudgate or down the river on barges over the flat Vale of York to build this monumental chapel in stone. So the tower here dates back to 950 AD, but the two cells to the side of it that make up the chancel and the nave are even earlier, at least 9th century, so in the 800s, possibly earlier still. And as we go inside you see evidence of how the church has evolved over the years. There's been alterations made in the Norman period in the 1100s, but also in the 1800s where there's been extra aisles added on. Now the tower here is 50 feet high, and you can see there's an upper section which was added on where the belfry is. There's a square string course running around there separating the original tower from that belfry that was added on. And there's also the original Saxon door in the western side here of the tower. So the fact that this church here was built on this mound out of this monumental stone is quite a big statement, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of the passage in Kings where it describes Solomon building the temple, where it says the house was built, it was with stone prepared at the quarry, so that neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron was heard in the house while it was being built, which kind of reflects the situation here. They were bringing pre-prepared stone from EBORACUM to build this. Kirke then is Old Norse for church. Now the Hammerton part of the place name here has several interpretations. Ton was a settlement, a farm or an enclosure, so it could be that Hammerton was a farm which had a blacksmith associated with it. There was also a Hammerton family who owned the land around here right the way through until the 16th century, and it was actually Sir Stephen Hammerton who was executed in 1536 for his part of the Pilgrimage of Grace, the uprising of landowners here in the north of England against Henry VIII, protesting against his closure of the monasteries. If you want to learn more about that, you can see my video on Jervaux Abbey and the Pilgrimage of Grace somewhere here. Now for the first 600 years of its life, the church here was actually dedicated to Saint Quentin of Amiens in France, before it became St John the Baptist's church. St Quentin was an early Christian martyr, died in 287 AD for refusing to give up his faith. He ended up being manacled, tortured and eventually beheaded, and where his body was thrown into the marshes around the Somme. And he's remembered as an early Christian martyr. And of course, St. John the Baptist was also beheaded, so perhaps there's a connection there. Inside, some of the beautiful murals from the Victorian period in the Lady Chapel have a lot of early Christian female martyrs as well. So it's very much a church dedicated to martyrs from its very inception. So this is the original Saxon part here, the chancel and the nave. You can see where the tower was added on here, and some huge blocks. You can see where it's been worked in places. And this side we've got a 3 or 4 course arch, and you can just make out there's sort of white and red paintwork and plasterwork on some of those blocks. So it was obviously decorated originally. You can see a few more bits of white plaster. Now, the original church was modified in the Norman period, about 1150, and then obviously you can see where it's been expanded out over the centuries with these 2 extra aisles. Beautiful Victorian frescoes, which we'll be looking at in a moment, including in the original Saxon chapel, now the Lady Chapel, decorated with murals of female Christian martyrs of the early church. So this is the original Saxon chancel here. It's now the Lady Chapel, but you can see where there used to be a Saxon window there that's been blocked in, and next to it, cut through the wall, is this quite deep recessed lancet window which was put in around 1150 when the Normans changed things around a little bit. You can see also it's quite an ancient piscina down there, and the cedilla. Piscina is where you would wash the chalice after communion. Cedilla is where you would keep the wafers and the wine as well. We've also got the remains of a corbel stone from the original roof, but now you can see the walls on the roof have all been decorated in these beautiful Victorian murals in the pre-Raphaelite style, and we've got this Dutch Reredos behind the altar as well, which was being painted by the same artist who did all of the murals in this church. His name was George Ostrahan, and he painted the murals between 1895 and 1900. It took him 5 years to do, and he passed away shortly afterwards. Now the Reredos has these little panels with captions underneath in sort of medieval Dutch, so it's a bit hard to translate. So de boodschap at the bottom there seems to be the message. De besnedinge is the circumcision, and then de Herdere Konen, the 3 kings. You can see the 3 kings there at the Nativity. Now, this being the Lady Chapel, we've got lots of murals pertaining to the Virgin Mary, but also some of the early Christian female martyrs around the walls here. So at the top we've got the Virgin Mary, Ave Maria, you can see at the top there, Hail Mary, full of grace, and then to the right there you've got Behold, handmaiden of the Lord. So we've also got Saint Cecilia here, Saint Agnes, Saint Agatha, and on this side, Saint Lucia. We'll be celebrating Santa Lucia around this time of year, around Christmas time, associated with light usually. Now they're all carrying palm leaves, which is the symbol sort of a martyr of the early church. We've also got Saint Cecilia on the left here, who is the patron saint of music, holding an organ. You've also got Saint Agnes with a little lamb, and Frau Agnes is Latin for lamb. Similar with Saint Lucia, lux or Luca was Latin for light, and you can see she's holding the lantern there, lighting the way. Now moving through into the nave, as you go through into the main chancel, you've got this depiction of Christ in glory at the top there, with cherubs and angels singing censers. And then on the arches, down the main nave, we've got all these angels holding shields, which depict iconography associated with the main Gospels. St. Matthew there with the wooden cross and a gallows tree, St. Mark with the crown of thorns and nails, St. Luke with the hammer and the nails, the seamless garment and the dice, and then finally here we've got St. John with the pillar and the scourges and the Sacred Heart and chalice. Now in the chancel itself, back wall above the window, we've got the symbol of the dove, the Holy Spirit, Sanctus, Sanctus, Sanctus. And we've got a number of saints here. So we've got John the Baptist himself holding a depiction of the church here at Kirk Hammerton. To the right of him, we've got St. Peter with the keys to heaven, and he's depicted with York Minster there, down below. To the right, we've also got St. Hilda, the abbess of Whitby Abbey, famous Celtic Christian and church leader. And to the right, we've got St. Wilfrid, who founded Ripon, the cathedral down below there. And it's famously, ironically, Wilfrid who debated against St. Hilda at the Synod of Whitby in 664 AD. And he was arguing for the Roman tradition of Christianity, whereas St. Hilda and her supporters were arguing for the Celtic Christian tradition, slightly different interpretation of Christianity. And the Roman tradition held out Celtic Christianity, gradually receded in influence here in the north of England especially. Now the stained glass window behind me here dates back to 1893. It's made by Charles Kempe, who was one of the most important stained glass artists in the Victorian period. You can see at the top there's a pelican shedding blood to feed its young, which is an ancient symbol of Christ and his care for us. And down below we've got the crucifixion, the Virgin Mary, Mother behold the Son, and then that's St. John on the right there, St. John the Divine. Now all around the walls of the chancel we've got these beautiful fruit trees celebrating nature. We've got these birds around the frieze around the top. You've also got alternating shields of the emblem of St. John the Baptist there, and the three hammers of Hammerton. So there you go, beautiful, unique church here in Kirk Hammerton. St. John the Baptist has been here for at least 1,000 years, possibly a few hundred years more, from its Saxon origins right the way through to these beautiful pre-Raphaelite Victorian wall murals. Now if you'd like to donate to St. John the Baptist here, I'll see if I can put a link down below and help them upkeep these beautiful frescoes and the interiors and the stone masonry. But until next time, I'll see you soon and keep church searching.